What's going on, legends? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm bringing you guys the mission guide for tier 4 of the Legion faction. This guy is going to consist of 7 total missions. Out of the first 6, you'll have to complete 5 of them in order to unlock the final one. Once you complete that, it will unlock the last and final tier, which is tier 5. Now, before we dive into it, if you guys do enjoy this content anytime or find this video helpful in any way, make sure to show your support for the channel by going down below and smashing that like button. Let's go ahead and throw an easy goal of 100 likes on today's video, as well as if you guys like to find your way back to the channel for more Call of Duty content. Make sure you do hit that subscribe button alongside that notification bell so we don't miss you in future videos. First up, we have Pyromaniac. This guy's going to be a 3-parter. Part 1's asking you to deliver 20 gas cans to the dumpster dead drop at the train depot between Safo Quarry and Rohan Oil. So gas cans can be commonly found at gas stations. You will find them other places as well, but gas stations are guaranteed to have at least 1, some cases even 2, and I've often found 3 at some of the locations. It very much helps to have a squad with you because you will be limited in inventory. If you have like a large backpack, you have 9 slots in that. So at most, you'd be able to hold 9 at a time. But it also gets a bit sketchy because depending on how long it takes you to get to all of those gas stations, you may not have time to get back to the other part of the map to dead drop them. So if you are playing solo, I recommend dead dropping a little bit more often, especially if you're already in that area. And if you have squad mates, maybe have them hold some of the gas cans for you. You guys just work your way over there at some point once you've gotten quite a few. Make sure you guys just dead drop those. So the dead drop location, if you're not familiar, is actually right next to the railroad. I'll of course show you guys on the map. But once you've collected those gas cans, you take them here and you dead drop them. Once you've done that with 20 gas cans, this part will be completed. Part 2 is asking you to extract 24 Molotovs or thermite grenades. The best way to do this is to spawn in with either the Molotov or the thermite. And you obviously just have to choose that in your loadout before you get started. Once you get in, you will be able to stow this. You can throw in a munitions box right away if you want to pick up 2 more out the gate. But I definitely recommend going around and getting some money, get you up to at least 6,000 to 10,000. That way you can buy yourself some munitions boxes. Hopefully you'll have a medium or large backpack for this. If you have a large one, you'll be able to hold quite a bit more. Realistically, if you wanted to with a large backpack, you could get 9 munitions boxes and pretty much switch them all out for multiples of 2 for either the Molotovs or the thermites. And you could then obviously extract with quite a few in one run. I definitely think at least getting 6, so that way you exfil or extract with 12 would be a good way. That way you can do it in 2 different matches and not really pushing yourself too much, and you'll still have some space for other items like plates, which will keep you a lot longer. And then once you get 24 of these in total after a few runs, this part will be complete. Part 3 is going to have you extract 23 lighters, comic books, bandages, or documents. This one is actually one of the easier ones I've come across. I was able to actually do this in one run. Because you aren't limited to one single item, you can pick up 1 lighter, you pick up a comic book, you can pick up bandage and a document, and then just continue to loot, and you will eventually stack up quite a few of all of these. Once you have 23 in total, you won't need to collect any more. You'll just want to safely extract with those items, and once you get out of there, this part will be complete. I think you guys can do this in one match just like me. You guys are just going to want to make sure you pick up 1 of each of these. That way you guys continue stacking as you loot. Next up, we have Joyride. This guy's going to be a 2-parter. Part 1's asking you to kill 30 enemies while on the roof of a moving vehicle at Al-Shireen Pass. Now, the good news with this guy is, although it says in a moving vehicle, it actually doesn't have to be moving at all. So if you guys just take a vehicle over to Al-Shireen Pass and you just stand on the roof and eliminate enemies, it will actually count toward the progress. Once you've eliminated 30 enemies, which can be kind of frustrating just due to the amount of armoreds that could show up, you guys will get part 1 complete. Part 2 is going to take you to a different area. It's going to have you kill 30 enemies while leaning out of a moving vehicle at Seraph Bay. So same thing, you're going to take your vehicle over to Seraph Bay. Good news is it doesn't have to be moving, so you're just going to want to lean out the window where enemies are, eliminating them as you do this, and this part will obviously progress. Once you've eliminated 30 enemies while leaning out of the window, this part will be completed. I will say for this one, it's definitely easier to have a squad. That way someone's at least driving, because sometimes sitting still, at least in Seraph Bay, there's a ton of the armored guys, and it can be pretty rough leaning out of a window just taking damage while you're trying to eliminate enemies. Next up, we have intelligence control. This one is a one and done. However, it is extremely difficult. It's asking you to have 5 UAV towers active at the same time. I definitely do not think you can do this solo. I think it would be insanely unlikely to complete even as a duo, so it's more than likely that you will need a full squad for this one, or it's just not going to happen. UAV towers only last for 2 minutes, which means you'd only have a 2-minute cooldown to get to a second one, a third one, and by the time you get to the third one, you probably already lost the first one. So the only real way that I saw this to be doable was in a full squad. 2 of the people in the squad will have to get 2 UAV towers. You're going to want to kind of plan it out so that they can go to 2 that are fairly close to each other, and another squad mate's going to have to go to 2 that are fairly close to each other, and then the other third teammate is essentially just going to need to get one. But essentially, once they get one, they're going to have to beeline it to that second one, and everybody's going to have to be doing it at about the same time. So as long as the third wheel ends up getting it about the same time as the other guys get their second one, this will all be activated at the same time. You will be able to tell on the map, obviously, by just seeing each of your activated towers. And if all 5 of them are red at the same time, it means that you guys have done this properly, and this part will be complete. Next up, we have Junkyard. This is also an extremely difficult one to do. It's going to be asking you to destroy 7 vehicles in close succession 4 times. Now, close succession for this, based on what I saw that popped up on my screen, was around 6 or 7 seconds, which isn't very long to destroy 7 vehicles. And I will tell you right now, the only real way to do this is once you find or locate the vehicles on the map. I definitely recommend going for ones that are less armored, whether it's the ATVs, the little car or SUV. You're going to want to group 7 of these in the same location, kind of see parked side by side or kind of in a little blob together. That way they're all just close enough to where if they explode, they'll all kind of impact each other. I definitely don't recommend shooting bullets at these unless you're just trying to weaken these down to half health, which could be helpful in this situation, but I did not find it to be necessary in most circumstances unless the vehicles were fairly armored if you just couldn't find any other vehicles. Now, there's a couple of ways that you can actually finish off the vehicles all at once. I definitely recommend if you could get a precision airstrike or maybe even a mortar, you could call the streak on the glob of vehicles and it should explode all of them at one time. However, I also found it to be extremely effective as well to shoot an RPG or while having another teammate who had an RPG kind of fire them at the same time into the glob of vehicles, and it destroyed all of them at once. Once you've completed 7 at the same time or in the same succession, at least before that timer kind of runs out, you will get progress toward this, and you will have to do this 4 different times. We'll say on the positive end, I was able to actually do it twice in the same match. It's going to be kind of an RNG of where all the vehicles are, and if people are going and taking them as the match progresses. But most importantly, I think this one is one of the more difficult ones to do solo, so I definitely recommend trying to find a group if you're looking to get this one complete. Next up, we have Last Minute Evac. This one is going to be a 2-parter. Part 1's asking you to acquire a durable gas mask. This is probably one of the easier things to be asked of. You basically just have to loot enough to find one. It can be found in medicine cabinets sometimes. I've found them in first aids. You can find them in supply drops. I mean, there's a couple of different ways you can go about it. You're just basically going to loot around until you find one, and part 1's going to be complete. Part 2 is a little bit more on the challenging end. It's going to ask you to exfil 3 times using the final exfil with 60k cash. Now, the most effective way I found to earn this cash quickly was to do the destroy supplies contract. Now, the reason you're going to want to do that is because once you blow up both of the bomb sites, it's actually going to mark on the map some of the nearby safes. You're going to want to at least complete 2, probably 3 safes total to get you around the 60k that you're looking for. And then you're going to want to play it extremely safe, probably stick toward the end zone where you think it could actually go to. Usually it's pretty easy to predict once you've done the final zone enough where that last exfil is going to be. Sometimes you're going to run into players there. Other times you might just have a hard time making it in time. But once you obviously exfil at that final exfil with the 60k, this part will be complete. Most of the time at the final exfil, I don't find them to be super contested. So hopefully you guys won't have too much issues with that. Next up, we have Mechanic. This guy's going to be a 3-parter. Part 1's asking you to deliver 26 blowtorches to the dumpster dead drop at the Mauza Mars gas station. Now, the big issue with this one is that it's asking you to get so many of these. I just feel like they're way more rare than they were intended to be. Maybe it's just an issue that will get fixed in the near future, but I cannot seem to find any of these in some matches, and there are matches where I have found them, but I was only able to find maybe 1 or 2. They're very rare, at least from what I can tell, and they're most likely found on like workbenches. I've seen enemies drop them. I haven't really seen any of them in toolboxes or anything like a loot cache, so I wouldn't recommend expecting to find those there. But these are extremely rare, so anytime you get your hands on these, make sure you take them straight to the dead drop, just in case you have no luck finding anymore, or maybe you just get to a point in the match where you're not able to deliver them, and you don't want to lose out on even one of these, because I'm telling you, they're just that rare. But once you've taken 26 total to the dead drop at Mauza Marsh, which of course we'll show you guys on the map, this part will be complete. Part 2 is going to be a little bit easier. It's asking you to deliver 20 jumper cables to the dumpster dead drop at Mauza Marsh gas station. These are way more common. I was finding these on shelves. I was finding these in toolboxes. They're just going to be a lot more consistent throughout the little houses and buildings that you loot typically. You guys will find quite a bit of these in a single run. You can only stack them in a stack of 3, so I think one of the times I dropped like 9 at the same time. You're going to take them again to the Malazah Marsh gas station. Once you've dead dropped 20 of these, the part is going to be complete. The last and final part of this one is going to be to deliver 14 car batteries to the dumpster dead drop north of Al Malik Terminal. This is going to be that junkyard spot, which of course I will show you guys on the map. Now these car batteries are pretty common as well. The only real downside to these is they are not stackable. So even if you had a large backpack and nothing else in it, you could only really hold 9 at a time. But because they take up so much of the space in your bag, I definitely recommend dead dropping them once you have like 4 or 5 of them. That way you don't lose out on any progress. If you are finding them to be common enough and you have people in your squad, you could ask some of them to hold those for you as well. And obviously the progress works for everyone. So any of these things that you're dead dropping, if other people also have the mission equipped, it will count for them as well. So it is possible you guys could do this in 1 to 2 matches. If you find enough of these batteries, you're just going to take them over to that dead drop at the junkyard. Once you've dropped 14 total, this part will be complete. Now we have our last and final mission, which is going to be Poisoned Well. This guy is going to be a 2-parter. Part 1 is going to ask you to acquire 6 gas grenades in 1 deployment. The easiest way to do this is to go in with a squad. I had 2 other people with me. We were in a full 3-man. We all had the gas grenades. We just threw the munitions boxes down. They made sure to keep dropping the gas grenades for me. Once I had like 6 to 8 of them, I had more than enough, and obviously part 1 was automatically completed. So once you just have 6 of these in your inventory, this part's done. Part 2 is where things get a little bit more difficult. You have to throw 6 gas grenades in the open water wells in the Zarqwa hydroelectric in 1 deployment. The hard part with this is all the enemies in the area, so it definitely helps to have teammates with you. However, I think if you played it safely enough, you could probably get away with doing this solo. Now there are different locations to do this, and you can't just throw them all in the same one. I definitely tested that just to make sure you guys wouldn't have to go to all 6 of them, but there are 6 different locations and you'll have to throw 1 in each of them in order to get the tracking for all 6 obviously to count. Now I will show you guys a little image on the video here that shows each of the 6 locations. If you guys need help with this, make sure you guys just pause it, take a little screenshot. That way you guys will know of all the locations. If you guys have played multiplayer, you might be familiar with some of these locations based on the map. But once you've thrown all 6 of the gas grenades in the different areas, this part will be completed, overall sealing the deal on Tier 4 of Legion. Now that's going to be all the missions for Tier 4 of the Legion faction. This will now unlock Tier 5, which is the final tier. But that's going to wrap things up for us here. Thank you guys for all the support in today's video, all the support on the channel, and I look forward to seeing y'all in the next one. Peace.